As we continue to talk about quadratics, we've looked at different pieces of the quadratic. We looked at real world problems. So I want to focus on some more specific pieces. And today we're going to talk about the axis of symmetry, which is the vertex. Remember, your vertex is your HK. Remember, it can be a min or a max. And your axis of symmetry is always in x equals, and it is the h of your HK. So we did this before break, but some of us struggled with this, so I want to show you in a different way. The axis of symmetry of the parabola is determined by the function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and is the vertical line, which is why it is an x equals equation that goes through the vertex, which remember is your HK. So our equation is negative b over 2a. The vertex is on the axis of symmetry, and it is the x coordinate of the vertex. That is why we have x equals negative b over 2a. So when you look here at this example, we have a vertex of 3, negative 4. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 3. But we're going to learn how to pull that out of our equation. So each point on a quadratic graph will have a mirror image point with the same y coordinate that is equidistant from the axis of symmetry, which makes sense because when we fold a graph on the axis of symmetry, it is the lines are now equidistant from that. So for example, the point 0, 5 over the axis of symmetry to the point 6, 5 on a graph. So if we go back up to this previous graph, we can say, okay, here is 0, 5, which you can see that they did. It is 1, 2, 3 away. So 6, 5 is 1, 2, 3 away on the other side. So give the coordinates of two additional points that are reflections over the axis of symmetry in this graph above. So we can see here, we can say 2, negative 3, and we can also say 4, negative 3. Those are our buddy points. So for each function, identify the zeros graphically. Confirm your answer by setting the function equal to 0 and solving by factoring. So this is a root or an x-intercept. So this is just a little bit of review before we get into the axis of symmetry. So we can see that our roots are in fact x is equal to negative 4 and to positive 2. So when we did this a while back, we talked about using the cross puzzle to factor, where we had a and c and this was b. So my a in this equation is 1. 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. And my b is 2. So we said, what are the factors of negative 8 that will give me a positive 2? Well, I multiplied a negative and a positive number, so I need a difference of 2. So, and it needs to be positive. So if I have a positive 4 and a negative 2, I'll get a positive 2, and those multiply to be negative 8. So then we went through and we grouped, and we said x squared minus 2x plus 4x minus 8. We did our grouping, and we could take out an x minus 2. I can take out a 4, I get x minus 2. So now I have x plus 4 times x minus 2. Those are my factors, and if I set those equal to 0, x equals negative 4, and x equals positive 2. So that is how we can confirm our answer. If we look at this next example, for each graph in number 2, determine the x-coordinate of the vertex by finding the x-coordinate exactly in the middle of the two zeros, and confirm by calculating negative b over 2a. We're actually going to do negative b over 2a first on the one that we just factored. So remember again that a is 1. So if a is 1 and b is 2 and c is negative 8, and we need a negative b over 2a, so x. B is not negative yet, so I'm going to make it negative. If it was negative, I would make it positive. 2 times a is 1. So I get negative 2 over 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 1. And if I go back, I can see here that in fact my axis of symmetry is x equals -1. If you want to try letter B on number 2 and try letter B on number 3, when I post the PDF version of these notes, you'll be able to check your work. So then we can go through, and for 4A we have the same function still. Determine the y coordinate of the vertex. So if we're saying that x is -1 and I have an x here and an x here, they equal to y, I should be able to plug those in. Y equals, now remember when you have a negative and you're squaring it, put it in parentheses. I should be able to plug it in for x and get my answer. So -1 squared is 1. 2 times the -1 is -2, minus 8. So 1 and a -2 is a -1, and a -8 is a -9. So my vertex should be -1, -9. And when I come back over here, I can see that in fact my HK is -1, -9. Okay. And again, if you want to do letter B to just have some extra practice, feel free to do that. For each graph in number 2, determine the max or the minimum value of the function. So we need to think about this. When we look at this, A is 1. So this means that the graph is going to open up. So if A is 1, or if A is positive, make a little note. When A is greater than 0, when A is positive, there will be a min vertex because it is going to be opening up. And again, you can do letter B. So that is really all I have for you. I would like you to try those, and again, I'm going to post those answers in the answer key. I am going to put 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put 8 to 11 as well as number 13 on a Google form. And all you need to tell me on the Google form is write me the axis of symmetry for each of the following. So in your Google form, you're going to tell me x equals whatever. You don't have the x equals, it's not going to take it because remember it's going to be an equation. And then when you get down to number 13, this is a little bit of review, and I would like for you to put letter B into the Google form as far as HK, but you're going to need to use your calculator on this one. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions.